Hello everyone, I'm here with INFJ.
Oh my God.
She's an INFJ and she is indeed my girlfriend. I know, she's so hot, isn't she? Okay, anyway, we are about to go into this interview video and we're gonna sort of discuss what her life is like as an INFJ, and she actually mistyped for a bit as an INFP, and so if there are any of you guys watching this that are an INFP or you're not sure if you are an INFP or an INFJ, hopefully this video can give you something to think about. I think that INFJs can be very go with the flow people, and she definitely is.
She definitely is.
Yeah, she definitely is, and I totally understand why, like with some of the information out there, I totally understand why you read it and thought that you were an INFP, especially since you tested as that. So anyway, Jess, tell me a little bit about when you first discovered what Myers-Briggs even was. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I think I had just heard of the test. It was maybe in junior high or high school, and I took the test online, and then my mom was also going back to college at the time, and in some psychology class, and so she was taking the test with a pencil in her textbook, which is funny. So she had me and my dad take it as well, and so I think that piqued my interest in it a little bit more, and I'd always been interested in personality stuff in general. So.
Were you interested in astrology before that?
I had always been fascinated by horoscopes or whatever, even though they obviously weren't real. It wasn't really until college that I got into astrology though.
Yeah, and for those wondering, Jess is a Cancer with a Gemini moon and a Virgo rising. So
yes.
She has a fat Gemini stellium. So.
A lot of conflicting energy.
Yeah, which it's if you read about Gemini, it makes sense why I think that you thought that you were a P. Because the stereotype of what a P is, I would say Jess very much is. The thing is that you use NI and then FE. And so that's the thing to consider. And also, Jess is an Enneagram 9. So if you know that. But anyway, so did you take the test and immediately get INFP, or did you ever test and get anything else?
It's funny. I actually just remembered this as you asked that. I think I maybe the first time I ever took it in I don't know, 8th grade, freshman year of high school, I tested as a J maybe, and then every other time after that I tested as an INFP. I even still.
But you were always INF.
Yeah, always INF. It was just, I'm pretty sure I tested as J one time. It might just depend on the test as well. When I take it on 16 personalities, I'll still get INFP, but.
Yeah, and 16
which,
personalities
isn't accurate.
Also says that I'm an ENFP, and I'll link that video somewhere here, but just in case you guys didn't know, the 16 personalities test is actually based off of the Big Five, and the creators of it assumed that the Big Five and Jungian theory had some correlations, and so conscientiousness they linked with J and P. And you took the Big Five too, right? Would you say you're a conscientious person, just in general?
Yeah, I would say so. I can't remember what I got for that, but
it's the thing with the 16 personalities test is that it'll ask things do you want to be super structured or do you want to be adaptable? And
I still don't know the answer to that.
Really? Do you feel like you're kind of both?
I always say that one of my best traits is that I'm adaptable, but then I'm kind of not in a way, and so.
Well, how adaptable have you been moving from a new role? Because at her job, you now have sort of a new role. Isn't that stressful to go from one thing to the other?
Yeah, it is, and it's I always am told that I handle it well and that I'm a fast learner, which I guess I am, but at the same time I feel I take longer than most people to really truly get the hang of it and feel like I do, but maybe that's just a confidence thing.
I think you can be a fast learner but not adaptable, because I feel I'm a fast learner, but if I'm gonna be going from one thing to the other, I'm gonna want to go all in and know exactly what I'm working with, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jess thought she was an INFP. 16 personality sucks. Tell me So you were kind of into being an INFP, at least enough for it to be on your Twitter, on her Twitter bio.
Yeah.
Like one of the first real conversations we got into was me telling her that I think that she's an INFJ because I followed her on Twitter. We went to college together. But I followed her on Twitter, and her bio said INFP, and I just was relating to every single one of her tweets, like your thought processes. And I was like, this girl definitely uses an I. Like, what the heck? But so tell me about sort of when you first started, like not just taking the test, but when you were somewhat interested in it. Like, it seemed like you kind of were like your sophomore year
Of college? Or
yeah, of
school?
college.
Yeah, I think I like got into it more in college in a way. I just like had more people I knew who would like talk about it and whatnot, and like it just became maybe like a more well-known thing. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought it was like interesting for me to see like what other people's types were, and if like I still don't know as much about it as Megan, I, like at all by any means, even though I'm still like really interested in it, and I know more than the average person, I would say.
Yeah.
But I would just be curious to know like what people tested as, so I could compare. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're an ENFP, so you're just like an extroverted version of me, basically, which is like very overgeneralizing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not even an INFP.
But so when you first discovered you're an INFP, what things stuck out to you of like the things you would read that you were like, that's so me?
I guess the main thing would be like the title on 16 personalities of being the mediator, because like I totally am that way, and like all of my like friends and family have always described me as that. And so, but like now knowing a little bit more about type, I feel like that almost more describes INFJ in a way.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure that like what was the INFJ even on that
I
site?
don't know.
Like
I feel like INFJs feel more of a responsibility to mediate. INFPs can be really good at it. I almost see INFPs as being really good as like a therapist, like one-on-one, just like really soaking up what the other person's saying. So instead of doing functions, let's just sort of go down the line with the letters. And I want to know, could you explain to me how you feel about being introverted? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, you always test it as introvert.
Yeah.
Like, what are like the things that come to mind as like how you are that connect with that?
Like really drained by being around people in general, I would say. I mean, just like enjoying doing things alone. Like whenever I have a night alone, it's like a party to me. It's not like, oh, I'm so lonely. Like I've never felt that. I've always, one thing we talked about recently was like being sent to my room as a kid, which like I don't think ever happened because it wasn't a punishment. Like that
definitely was for me.
Never would have been for me. So just like, basic things like that like society views as being introverted, but also just very like inward looking. I'm like pretty, like I've always been very introspective and like in my head a lot and just like constantly thinking.
So this is something that I've noticed that seems to be more common for INFJs versus INFPs, but you seemingly are not drained by me very much. Like so INFJs are typically seen as a little bit more clingy than INFPs because you have extroverted feeling. So would you say that like once you know, or when someone is like your best friend or like someone you're dating, that you don't feel as much of a need for space, or what is that like?
Yeah, definitely. I've always I'm pretty much like have always had a best friend. Definitely not the person who like always needs to be in a relationship, but I do really like being in relationships, and I really value like one-on-one intimacy and just like becoming super comfortable with like one or a select few people, and like doing things like, because I really like hanging out with people who like I don't feel like I need to like dress a certain way or like act a certain way. I think that's just like a really comforting thing for me. So I've always craved like the one-on-one intimacy as opposed to like, I don't know, with a lot of people just being kind of close with.
And I want to make another video at some point where we really compare the INFJ and ENFJ, but I just want to ask though now, like, when we first started dating, I realized that I feel like our energy levels are pretty similar. Just how we express is different. but I feel like really drained by people too. But like, would you agree that our energy levels are similar, or what?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're like always on the same page of
Yeah.
if we want to go out or not. Like I
Yeah.
don't think that you like want to go out more than I do.
No.
Really. Like I think it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And it's like it's more of a thing that both of us have to force ourselves to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Which like I know that like everyone, maybe like mostly everyone relates to that at some point.
For me, I'll always be like, well, oh, I know I'll have fun once I get there. I have to get myself out of this mood.
Yeah, like rationally, I always know that I enjoy socializing, and it like always goes well. Like it's never like a disaster or something. Like I'm very like no drama, so it's there should be no reason for me to dread it. But
that's another thing about INFJs is that what I hear a lot is that they are more stereotypically extroverted than INFPs. Well, maybe not extroverted. I mean, that's the wrong word, but social.
I feel the need, like, constantly to exert myself, which is, like, almost why I'm so exhausted by people in a way, because I, like, care so much about what they think of me, and I want people to see me, like, not as super extroverted, but as, like, somebody who is personable.
Yeah, how would you describe yourself as social? Like, what is your social life like? Or, like, your ideal?
My ideal social life? I feel like I like having a routine with people, which I've like never had, but that's kind of the goal. Like I want to, like if I hang out with one person a week who's not you, basically I'm like, wow, I'm super social. So like,
honestly, same here.
Like, I mean, yeah, and that's how, I mean,
I think I have more of a desire for people than you, but
yeah, I feel like you would want to be a part of a group more than I do, and like I don't always feel that as much.
Yeah, and I think because okay, for those of you that know about Enneagram, I think you might be a sexual social type. Oh no, I think you might be a sexual self-preservation type, which would make you a social blind person, which means that you don't care as much about the groups.
Yeah,
and I'm like sexual social, which means we both value like intimacy first, but then you would then care about preserving yourself after that.
It reminds me of like the scuffle, if you will, that we got into like I don't know, maybe a month ago about like you wanting me to like care about community more, and it's just like something that you value a lot.
Yeah,
and, like it's something that I do value, like definitely, and like I see the importance of it so much, but it's really hard for me to like initiate things in that arena.
Because the scuffle, since we're getting into the scuffle, I'm gonna just say that
the glasses are coming off.
They're going off. Well, I was just gonna say that it was something like, for me, I know that if you value community, it isn't always gonna just show up, and not that you thought that, but it seemed like that, because I feel like the need to create a community, and you don't feel as much of a need to create.
No.
But you do, like, if you see there's a community, you want to be involved, right?
Yeah, it's almost like, which is a weakness of mine, I would say, like overall, but I kind of like to wait for things to come to me, and like I've gotten pretty lucky in that happening for me, and things like being in front of me, and then I'll be like, oh, like I should seize this opportunity. So it's not that like, it's not a total lack of inaction, but it's also like, I wait around for it a lot because I'm too uncomfortable and too uncertain to be like, well, is this actually what I want to start, or like can I just...
because you want to wait for like the perfect opportunity?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always waiting for the perfect time to do anything, and there like never is, and it's like rationally I know that, but I can't not do it.
If something feels like the perfect time, is it easier to jump on board?
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I sort of feel like, and this would be my NI and SE being in the middle of my stack, that's my NI and SE are more balanced than for her. I feel like sometimes I do like to wait for the right time, but I also feel like I have to create that. And I understand the way that action creates momentum and creates inspiration, and sometimes you have to take action before the inspiration comes. That's something I think I do a little bit more than you.
Oh yeah, like way more. Not even a little.
Way more?
Don't be so humble.
Well, what do you think about that then?
I mean, I just think that it's just something that's always been like really, really hard for me, is to be like,
take action or what?
yeah, to be like action oriented and to like I can take initiative on things, and like I do, but I have to wait until I like know that I know a lot about what I'm doing, like, because I don't have the confidence to even have a little uncertainty before doing something. Like, I need to be like, I know this like the back of my hand, now I can take initiative. Like, kind of I'm like, 6 months into my job now, and I'm just now starting to feel like comfortable taking initiative. Like, it takes me that long, so.
Yeah, and I think that it takes a certain level of SE, extroverted sensing, to feel like you can handle engaging directly with the external world. And you spend a lot of time ruminating on things.
Yes, so much. It's ridiculous.
So introversion, you're drained by people. Something that I've noticed too is you recently moved to a new town, and you have not felt the intense desire to make new best friends and build this sort of network here.
Yeah, it's weird.
And that's what I would definitely do. If I was moving to a new town, I would feel like I needed a bunch of people.
Yeah. It's hard for me because I go to my job like every weekday, and I feel like that's like its own community in a way. Like, I like the people there, and it's just hard for me to like come home after a long day and like want to do any more. And then like the weekends, I just want to like recuperate, and so it's really hard for me to, again, like waiting for the perfect time to arise for me to do something. It's kind of like, I'm tired all the time. I'm very drained by people a lot of times, and so.
What is the most draining thing to you about people? Because another thing about INFJs is that there seems to be this sort of disconnect, and comment below if you're an INFJ and you relate to this. Like, INFPs are more likely, in my opinion, to feel like they don't need anyone, like they don't need people. And INFJs seem to have this sort of like love-hate relationship with people, like can't live with them, can't live without them. And like everyone's like that to some extent, but like INFJs, it's really interesting because they really love people. Like,
yeah. Well, and it's funny. So this reminds me so much of like that question on the the 16 personalities test, where it's like I'm more energized like after hanging out with being with a group of people, and I always pick neutral because it's like I'm so torn in both directions.
Really?
Yeah, like I feel it's draining for me sometimes. It's draining like while I'm there almost, and then I'll like get home from hanging out with somebody and like not be able to go to sleep because I'm like I don't know, going through it in my mind again, but also I was like, oh, that was great, like I feel social and I'm like energized by it, but I'm waiting, while it's happening, I'm like waiting for it to be over in a way.
Interesting.
Yeah. And sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's fine. Like, and because I think that if we were to map out our lives and what we do on the weeknights and the weekends, I wouldn't be that much more extroverted than you, like stereotypically.
Yeah, definitely.
But as far as how we process, and we'll talk about this more in another video, but it's like Jungian extroversion isn't how drained you are by people, because I'm very drained by people, but I am immersed with the external world, and you can sort of not be as immersed with it. Like, I feel like you're able to check out of social media and politics and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is kind of introversion, I think.
In a way, yeah. I think, like, it's a little different with, like, social media and, like, with categorizing it. But I think, like, with in-person encounters, what's so draining to me is trying so hard to absorb everything while interacting. Because, again, like, I want to put forth that I'm, like, involved, like, that I'm engaged and, like, listening to what's happening and like participate. Like, I always want to feel like I'm participating, even if it's like not as much as other people. But I'm also like just absorbing so much that's going on that it's like overwhelming to me, and I'm just like waiting for it to be over because I'm always so like tensed up.
Do you feel like you want to like really know who the other person is, like and like make them feel like you care and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm always very conscious about like making sure that people know that I'm like listening to them, and like I don't know, like even if there's like a group of people and like someone's talking but only like one other person is listening, like I feel like I need to listen to them because they don't feel like they're being listened to, and just like I'm very aware of all the conversations going on in the room, and it's just like a lot to handle.
Something that was so crazy to me is I went to her holiday party, and the way that you interacted in that group was so different from how I am. And I think that the way that you are is almost more confident because you just waited for people to come to you. And maybe you felt insecure, but it looked confident to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it like went smoothly. I do kind of like wait for people to come to me though a lot of times. Like that's how a lot of my friends have been made, really. But at the same time, like if I see somebody feeling uncomfortable, or like if there's somebody like way more shy than me, then I feel like I have to be the one to take initiative, and I feel like way more confident about it for some reason. Whereas like if somebody has more of like a domineering personality, I'll kind of like lay back. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna hate me if I try to talk to them.
Do you feel like if someone has a big personality, scared or comfortable that they're going to take the lead and that you don't have to? Or does it depend?
Wait, can you rephrase that?
So when you see like a big personality, like an extrovert or something, is that scary? Or I guess it depends on the person.
It really depends for me, I think.
Because I wondered if
because a lot of times it makes me like way more comfortable if somebody's really extroverted, but other times
do you feel
like,
less pressure?
Yeah, there's some people that I like feel inherently judged by for some reason, and like a lot of times they're like more extroverted, but there are others that I don't. So it just kind of depends.
So that's the introversion part. So intuition, what have you always sort of resonated with about intuition?
I mean, I've always been told by like that I'm very in tune with like what's going on around me, and I feel like I've been able to like not read people's minds in the stereotypical sense of like I know exactly what they're thinking, but like pick up the vibes of the room. Like I've felt very empathic, and I think that also goes hand in hand with why I'm so drained with people, like by people a lot of times, because I absorb so much of the energy in the room that it's like I know exactly how like what one person said to the other person like affected them, and but like nobody else seems to realize it, and so it can be like stressful for me, and just like having
You're an old soul.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, like a lot of other things, but that's the basics of it.
So something that's so funny about her and I is that every time that I have some sort of insight that I then share to YouTube or whatever, if people find it mind-blowing or whatever, I don't know. The things that people are the most mind-blown by, I'll say to Jess, and she's just like, oh yeah, for sure. And it's so funny to me. It's like whenever I am so amazed by NI as my like second function, and I find it like super mind-blowing and I like share to everyone, then I'll like tell her, and I don't even know if you realize you do this, but you just are like, oh yeah, duh. Like you don't say duh, but like I feel like INFJs, like you have so much insight in your brains but you don't talk to enough people to realize how different that is and how unique that is and how special it is.
Yeah, and I almost like don't realize the insights I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're always kind of, this sounds so douchey that I'm like, oh, I have so many insights.
You really do.
I don't even realize that I have them, but that's kind of how it feels a lot of times.
Yeah.
To where it's like, or I will have like, I'll have one like in the shower or driving home or something, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna write this down because it's like I don't know how to say it. Like it's almost not expressible in words. It's just kind of a realization about life, or just like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Do you gosh, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry, I forgot.
ASMR.
Yeah, this is an ASMR video. Do you feel like, okay, so you have these NI insights. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. Do you feel alienated by people?
I wouldn't say that I do as much as like a lot of other people do. Like, I almost feel like I don't as much as you do, even sometimes.
Yeah. Because I think I try so hard to talk to everyone and to
yeah, that's
be
part
involved.
of it, because like you want it more than I do, so therefore you're gonna feel more alienated.
Yeah. And I think that since you take less of an initiative to make friends, that the friends that come to you are ones that are like good people, that like see you
Yeah.
and are like cool.
Yeah, and
like,
that is like really, I mean, I'm very fortunate to have that happen to me sometimes, like a lot of times.
Do you think that you could speak to which types you get along with best, or do you not know enough about the different types?
I feel like I don't, like, I feel like I know too many just like intuitives and feelers in a way. Like, I know a lot of
So I was gonna
I'm
say,
close with a lot of like ENFJs and
I
like
feel
ENFPs, and so it's really hard to say.
I feel like you attract the intuitives.
I
Like,
mean, yeah,
do you have any? Well, don't you have an ESTJ friend?
Yeah, I do. Shout out to Annabelle, who will like, never watch this. But yeah, and it's funny because like I feel like she's like the friend in life who's been like most opposite of me in a way. Like, I don't know, because I like people who are like very different than me. I like people who are like the exact same as me as friends. Like, it just very much depends. But yeah, I mean, I feel like she's the only ESTJ that I know though. Like, I don't know of any others in my life. I'm sure I do know them.
Yeah.
Let's see. I always like ENFJs a lot. I feel like they I'm a little biased, but like I feel like they know, they get me like very well, but they're also able to like push me out of my comfort zone, so it's like a perfect balance of what I need.
Because her dad is also an ENFJ.
Yeah, my dad's an ENFJ, and so he's really like helped me you know, feel understood while also like having the confidence to do things.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can't really pick any favorite. I don't feel like I have the knowledge base to do that yet.
I feel like you are sort of an intuitive magnet though, because you don't really give anyone else this time of day. Like, not like in a rude way, not like if someone is a sensor that you're gonna be like, oh, I'm better than you, but just that like you don't have the super like open, I need to be friends with everyone vibe, and so the people that naturally try and connect with you, I feel like are intuitives.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was gonna say almost that like a lot of people who I make friends with are extroverts, but I think the more common denominator is actually like intuitives.
Yeah.
Because there's just like
That's
that instant
true.
connection.
Yeah. How many introvert friends, or do you have?
I have like
Maddie.
Yeah, I have like quite a few like I mean, I don't have like that many people I would consider like super close friends, but I mean, I have a fairly even balance of introvert and extrovert, probably like more extrovert.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like more one than the other.
So something I want to touch on too is that INFJs have this stereotype of being like incredibly deep and like all that and like so thoughtful and introspective, and I think you are, but what you also are is very goofy. So, and I wonder, is that part of why you thought you were into INFP?
Maybe. I guess like I did always relate to like the quirky vibe of being an INFP and just like feeling so different. I don't know, in a way, but like,
because you're so hilarious. Like, you don't see it, you might not see it here, but she'll like dance around, like just make jokes.
I'm
she's
very
just hilarious.
Yeah, so I think that could be like part of the reason I related to being an INFP, but again, I don't really know as much about it. I just
I remember when you were first texting me though, like what were the things that you said were P like you like to go with the flow, were you late to things, or like what?
Yeah, so it's like I feel like I'm more of a mess than I probably actually am, and so I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm not put together, like I'm late to everything, like which is still true, definitely, but I felt, even like doing this video, I was talking to you, I was like, you should have just like sat me down and been like, we're doing a video now, and just put me on the spot, because
but you also tell me you hate being put on the spot.
I know, that's why it's that's why I didn't know for so long, because it's like I perform so much better in a way when I'm like not prepared,
But at the same time, you want to be prepared for everything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it conflicts, because I overthink everything so much that if I like over prepare for like a presentation or just like overthink what I'm gonna say, I don't know what I'm gonna. Like I fumble over my words way more than if I'm just like talking naturally, and and I feel like I'm like, you know, funnier like on the fly and stuff like that, but at the same time it would give me so much more anxiety to like not plan something out or like know what I was gonna say or do. So.
Yeah. So, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh.
What are like your hobbies?
So I'm like always listening to music is the main thing, which like isn't really a hobby in and of itself.
It is.
I also play music. I don't do that as often as I listen to it. But I guess like for hobby wise, music is the main thing.
She's gonna be famous one day, so for all of you guys that are watching in 2025, hey.
Yeah, if you're scrolling through the archives and see this, I'm famous by now. No, I really like and I feel like I listen to music so much more because I'm bad at taking action, right? It's like it's me ruminating, it's me like thinking, it's me putting together all these different pieces, like, oh, I like this music, and like it'll be helpful one day, and when I finally make some damn music.
So you're afraid to take action?
Yeah, I would say like, okay. Anyway, back to my hobbies though. Like, so music. I listen to music a lot. I play guitar. I play drums, and so like sometimes I make music, but I would like to a lot more. So that's my main hobby. I also like going for long walks, long drives. What
Anything
else?
long.
Eating food. Yeah. I take a long time to do anything. So, what other hobbies do I have? I don't remember.
You don't know, but I don't know. I was trying to just get a sense of like a day in the life of an INFJ. You know, like
I spend a lot of time just like thinking about things.
What do you think about?
Like I plan things a lot. I really do, and I pretend like I don't, and that's why I thought I was an INFP. So I was like, oh, I don't like. I'm so spontaneous. Like I love going on just like random drives.
I think
stuff like that. Like,
NJs really like when SPs or NPs, but like when people bring us out of our shell and are like, hey, do you want to do this crazy thing? Like if people ask me that, I'm gonna be like, oh hell yeah, let's do it.
Yes,
but I'm not gonna do it on my own. Are you like that?
Yes, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I used to be more spontaneous, like right when I got my license in high school or something.
You just wanted to escape.
Yeah, like let's be crazy and go through the McDonald's drive-thru.
Oh my god,
but like, other more things than that, but like I kind of need to be pulled into it more than I'm the one.
Do you think I pull you into things a little?
You do sometimes, but I need that, yeah.
Oh.
But I feel like you do, like you're pretty good at that.
I feel like we have very similar things that we find fun. Like we both really like concerts, and we both like going like thrift shopping and like through antique stores and stuff. And something about you that, okay, and I think this is an INFJ thing over an INFP thing maybe, is that I feel like you really like, or like you enjoy going to festivals and like people watching. You don't feel the need to go all in. Like you can just enjoy and be sort of in the background.
I feel like that's why I've always like craved living in cities and stuff. Because it's like it's very impersonal in the sense that you can like nobody's gonna just like come up to you and randomly. I mean that happens sometimes, but like overall it's less personal. It's less like you're gonna run into somebody that you know, which I like. Like I really hate running into people that I know actually, like if I don't expect to, just because it's like, what do we do, like how long do we talk for, how do I end this conversation?
So INFP friends of mine will like go all out and be more the center of attention when they're going and doing something, and then like go completely radio silent after that. And I feel like you have this sort of balance where you're comfortable in groups being in the background. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I feel like it fluctuates a lot for me, so like I'll be in the background for like the first 20 minutes of the conversation, and then I'll be kind of like in the spotlight for like 5 minutes, and I don't. It comes in waves a lot for me, I think. But overall, I'm definitely fine like being in the background of the conversation if I like genuinely don't feel like talking. But at the same time, I always feel bad for not participating.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel obligated by people often?
like in general, or like in a
like in general, do you feel like people
setting?
are obligating you to do things?
I think it's more like I obligate myself to do it because I don't want to. I can't say no. Yeah, I'm really bad at saying no, but I don't necessarily feel like, I don't know. I mean, yes and no. It's hard to say.
So, you're really bad at saying no. Can you briefly describe your weaknesses? Things that come to mind?
Like any of my weaknesses.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I know you always say that you're painfully self-aware, and then it makes it hard to take action.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, I guess I'm in my head a lot more than like most people might be. Like, I overthink everything is my main weakness, which like there are a lot of things that stem from that. Like perfectionism is definitely a weakness of mine. Like ruminating. I feel like I've said the word ruminating like 5 times already. But well,
this might be another question that can help get at this. Is like, what obstacles do you see in your life?
Yeah, like perfectionism, ruminating, like just overthinking everything, like before I do it and like after I do it as well. So like I'll have it like hanging out with people, or like literally any interaction I have, like I have to like read it. Like if I just sent something, I have to like read it over and like proofread it 1,000,000 times. And like if I just had a conversation that seems like fairly significant, I like replay it over and I'm like, okay, did I do everything right? And so yeah, those 2 things mostly. Let's see, what other I have like a lot of obstacles. I know that you know them like as well as I do.
Yeah, so well, there's one thing maybe I'd like to touch on before we end it is I feel like one thing you do more than I do is you beat yourself up over certain things, like the dishes or something, or like I feel like you get dramatic about things that I don't, but then I get dramatic about things. So so I am an FE dominant, which means I'm a judger first, and she as an NI dominant is a perceiver first, and so that means her inferior SE is going to be this sort of weak spot, but also something to obsess over. And for me, my inferior TI is something I obsess over, and so I might like not know when to quit like responding to people, or like I obligate myself like in this sort of FE way, and then I beat myself up with TI. I notice you, like, one thing I want to bring up is a time where you were too hungry to sleep but too tired to make yourself food, and you felt this sort of obligation. Yeah, but you felt this obligation that you had to fix it, and I was trying to help you, and you didn't want to take my help. I feel like you're bad at taking my help sometimes. You want to do everything yourself, and you're very independent.
Yeah, it's like rationally I know that I'm being completely absurd, and like, it's just like completely unreasonable, and it's like I know that I need to do something, but then I like almost like purposely like self-sabotage and like not do it, and then like be mad at myself for not doing it because like I know I'd feel better if I did. And I feel
like the same way I obsess over being right, you obsess over having all of your sensory life in order, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's interesting because if I like forget to do dishes or whatever, you will actually yell at me and be like, I'm being disgusting. And it's like, oh, is she a censor or something? Like, no, she's just obsessing over SE because you're inferior SE. And I think, I don't know, because you hold yourself to this extremely high standard, right? Like, with your home life and like all these sort of SI things.
Yeah, like with everything. But especially
everything, but like, do you feel that sensing is your weakness and you try and overcompensate?
I mean, yeah, probably. It's just like, I never feel like, it's like, I lack the foresight to realize that, like, cleaning is always going to be a thing that, like, I need to do, and so it's like, I'm always stressed about, like, oh, I need to clean, like, I haven't done that in so long, but it's like, I'm never not going to feel
Yeah,
that
surprisingly
way.
enough, you're supposed to clean, like, regularly.
Yeah, and I know, and, like, I want to be good at that, and,
I
like,
go in bursts.
I pride myself at being, like, clean and organized, but I'm like, I don't clean that often, and so I just hold myself to these standards,
Yeah.
like, and just stress out for no reason. It's like, I'm gonna have to clean things, like, every day, whether it's just, like, the dishes, and so it's just, like, I don't know, lacking the foresight of, like, that I'm going to need to continue doing these things in a way. And I think that it's like a one-time thing. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna clean everything really well, and it'll be fine forever after that.
I think that too. I feel like INFJs, they have such foresight about other things that then they forget about the sensory stuff, and those things can fall through the cracks. But anyway, is there anything else you'd like to add before we go? Because we are actually about to go to a concert. So.
Yeah, we are. Quality time is our love language.
Yeah. Are you more quality time than words of affirmation?
Yeah, that's like 1 point higher.
Oh.
They're basically the same.
Mine
though.
were very much tied as well.
I think I've like tested with them tied before, but yeah, they're about the same. And
Well,
I don't think I need to add anything. So
okay. Last thing I'll add is that Jess brings out every single side of me that I want to be. I can be funny. I can be deep. I can be.
it's because I'm
smart.
adaptable.
You are. I mean, you are.
I'm kidding,
No,
I'm kidding.
to some extent. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, you guys don't even know how hilarious she is because she's nervous right now. But, like, literally, she is the only person in the world that makes me just like come alive, my full self. So, thanks for watching the video.
Thank
And,
you.
have a good rest of your day.